morning, everyone. It's such a great honor to be here in this really amazing gathering of inspiring women and men from around the world. As rightly said by Deborah, we started the day in such an exceptional way yesterday. Didi said also it was a power-packed morning as we all experienced. So thank you, Didi, for putting this platform together for all of us and for including all of us in this incredible journey of women inspiring women. So a big hand and a big bow of gratitude, Didi, to you. So today, we are on the day 2 and in this beautiful theme of the conference, the Circle of Life, Passion, Compassion, and Dispassion. And today, if you will, is probably the day to deliberate on this theme of compassion and what it means to us in life, what it has meant to people around us, and how we have been instruments or recipients of this in our life. This session in particular is titled Service Beyond Boundaries. And Pujya Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji has said that the ultimate purpose of life is to be of service. And if that be so, and when that be so, how can we, as I would say those of us in this hall, are a very select percentage of the world who are gifted intellectually, physically, materially, emotionally. We are nurtured souls of the planet. How can we be that instrument of change, be that instrument of service to the world, to the communities around us? And who better than this incredible panel I have this morning, and I'm going to introduce each one of them shortly. I think to get to interact and to listen to each of these exceptional women, I was, as we were discussing, I thought we need one day for each of them. That is the kind of work they have done. So before I even begin to introduce them, I would ask you to join me in celebrating them by welcoming them with a huge round of applause. They have literally traveled across the seas to be with us. And let me start by introducing who I can call is growing to become a dear friend, Dileke Mandela. A big hand to Dileke Mandela as I share with you her incredible life. Sorry, I have to manage my specs and the pen and the mic. Yes, and the papers. So Dileke Mandela is the founder and CEO of the Thembeleke Mandela Foundation. She is the first of the 17 grandchildren of the incredible Nelson Mandela. The key objective of Dileke's foundation is to continue the legacy of her grandfather, Nelson Mandela, by promoting health and education programs in selected rural schools. The foundation promotes quality education, especially in maths and science, and that's so important today as we talk about more women in STEM, as well as equipping the schools with libraries and with books, equipments, and computers. She also runs a flagship program called the Pride of a Rural Girl, which is an initiative to provide sanitary towels to learners in selected rural areas. She, I think, epitomizes the legacy and also coming of age of her own individuality and what she has done and contributed to the world around her in these years. And we are going to hear a lot more about her work as we discuss ahead in this panel. So huge welcome, Dileke, to this beautiful conference. On my left is another powerhouse, someone whom I have met before. I've also had the good hospitality of visiting her home in Colombo, Sri Lanka. Please put your hands together to welcome Maitri Wickramasinghe. Maitri is a Sri Lankan academic, a professor of English at the University of Kelaniya. She's the founder director of the Center for Gender Studies at the University of Kelaniya and is a visiting professor on gender and women's studies at other educational institutions, including the University of Colombo and University of Sussex. She has delivered a number of keynote and addresses around the world in academics and other professional contexts, including the United States, Europe, different parts of Europe, Africa, East Asia, Asia Pacific, and all over the world practically. She has over 25 years of experience in formulating gender equity and equality policy strategies and conducting gender sensitization trainings in her country and other parts of the world. They don't like to be introduced by what gets attached to them, but she is also the wife of the former Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Ranil Wickremesinghe. Warm, warm welcome, Maitri. I know it, yes. To my farthest left is someone who I heard about, I read about, and I got a chance to know more about as we interacted yesterday. I have decided to call her the Universal Mom, and please welcome Agadir from Jordan, Dr. Agadir Juwayhan. Agadir, warm welcome to you. Agadir is the director of the Office of Her Royal Highness Princess Tagrid Mohammed. She is also the founder and voluntary director of the Princess Tagrid Institute for Development and Training, a local NGO that she established in 2010 to rehabilitate, train, and employ orphaned and abandoned youth in Jordan. Agadir has personally adopted more than 300 young boys and girls. And currently, we can say that she is the mum of almost 80 of them. She personally takes care of them and personally nurtures them. 80 young boys and girls. More girls, fewer boys. And Agadir is here. Some of them are here. We will get to meet them. She's also the founder and general trustee of the East, West, and African Women's Forum, in addition to representing Jordan in fora as the UNDP and other conferences around the world. She's the author of 3 scientific and academic publications on educational and psychological sciences and science beyond terrorism. Agadir, warm welcome to you. Warm welcome. A big hand to the whole panel. So we can, I would like to dive into the discussion straight as, what I want to invite is, Dilek, if you can start by making some opening remarks. This topic of service beyond boundaries. I mean, you are from a family who is monumental in its contribution to the world, in the service that it has done to the world. And you have in you the DNA and the gene of a person who is is an impossible inspiration, if you will. So how has that shaped your life? How have you lived your life and carried on the work with your own, with your own angle, your own conviction, and what has that meant for you?
Well, Rajita, it's not been easy. First, when you belong to an iconic family, especially a luminary like my grandfather, it becomes very difficult to find your own voice. And I've battled all my life to find that voice because Granddad was the type of person that swallows you whole with his stature. And belonging to families like this, you have to conform to the tribe mentality of how you must behave. And all my life, I've always been a nonconformist. So that came at a price because I had to fight against this tribe mentality that this is how you must behave. And as being the first in the next generation, that is also a double whammy for me because I have to set the tone for the ones that follow me. So it was around 2011 that because I believe in life, you are put here for a purpose. And for some time, that purpose eluded me. I was a nurse at some point in my life, And it was around 2010 when the work that I was doing had come to an end, and I was toying around with what to do with my life. And it was a friend of mine who gave me the aha moment. You know, I had gone to pick up my daughter, and usually I would park outside and send a text to say, come outside. On this particular day, she says, okay, you know, Ness's mom wants to see you. So I went inside the house, and she asked me, okay, what are you doing? And I was fretting. You know, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. My job has come to an end. She looked at me and says, what's your problem? I said, you're the first of the first of the first. I said, okay, please unpack that for me. She said, you're the first grandchild from the first wife, from the first son. You have your grandfather's legacy to live. What is your problem? It was then that the seed of the Tembegile Mandela Foundation was planted. But 2011, Granddad got seriously ill, and occupational hazard as it is, being an ICU nurse, I knew his time on earth was limited. And I decided to take a sabbatical and dedicate my life to be by his bedside and until the day he takes his last breath. It was during that time that I was approached by a family friend to say a school that my grandfather had gone to was in a state of disrepair, and I needed to do something about it. I went there, it was 2012 July, just shortly after my grandfather's birthday. And indeed, the school was in disrepair. And I decided, okay, now is the time that I start the Tembegile Mandela Foundation. And why Tembegile? Tembegile was my father. And if you've read books about my grandfather, he's the son that died in a car accident at 24 while he was in prison, and the prison authorities would not allow him to bury his firstborn. So, and in all the pictures or in all the books that have been written by my grandfather, my dad is just a speck of dust. Is like he was born and died tragically, and that's the end of his life. And I decided, is that the sum total of who my father was? No, it wasn't. He lived, he got married, he got children, my sister and I. And I decided to call the foundation Tembegile to keep his memory alive, but continue the work that my grandfather had started with the Nelson Mandela Foundation, which has now become the Nelson Mandela Center of Memory. They do dialogue advocacy work and advocacy work. And in the Tembegile Mandela Foundation, because when Granddad started the Nelson Mandela Foundation, he believed that there's two pillars that are important in a thriving society, which are a bedrock of a thriving society. That is health and education. And I decided I would continue with these two, health and education, but add a third leg, youth development. And in the space of health, we do the sanitary wear drive you're talking about, because back home, there are 3 million girls that do not attend school when they menstruate because of a lack of sanitary wear. On average, a girl will lose 50 days of schooling. Compounded over 5 years, this becomes a year of schooling that they miss during the entire senior year, and it impacts on their performance at matric level. So we decided that we'll call this the pride of the rural girl, because some of these girls are ridiculed when they bleed through their dresses. To date, we've got 10,000 girls that will supply sanitary wear for the entire year so that they don't miss school. Over and above that, we run camps where we pair both boys and girls, because I believe that in a society, we can't only elevate the girl child on her own, because if we do that, we leave the boy child behind. And who are we expecting these girls to marry if we only elevate the boy child? So we have to elevate the both of them. So we have, and I believe that is also why the gender-based violence has increased so much, because the girl child has been elevated to the 6th floor, for a lack of a better analogy, and the boy child is left on the ground floor, and they take their frustration on the girl child. That's why there's a cycle of violence, because that's the only way they can take their frustrations. So we pair these boys and girls in terms of teaching them about life skills, teenage pregnancy, STI, things, soft skills that they're not taught in class. On the space of education, we partner with people where we have centers of excellence, where we have computer labs, science laboratories, libraries, and sports facilities. Youth development one, we have a program called, recently we've just introduced it during the year that Granddad was turning 18 on centennial, which is the Leading Like Mandela. It's a program, it's a leadership development program that is fashioned under my grandfather's leading qualities, where he was able to lead with compassion. He was a moral, he had a moral compass. He was an ethical leader. How do we build leaders? Because I believe that leaders don't come at a tertiary level. If you look at my grandfather's life, he became the leader that he was when he was watching tribal council as a boy. And children learn by emulation. You can't learn leadership when you're an adult. So, and I believe there's two important developmental stage in a child's life. There's early childhood, then there's a childhood which she does, the 14 to 18-year-old. Because if you miss a child in early development, the next catchment stage is the adolescent stage. And that's the age that you concentrate on. That's where we craft, how to be leaders. Because if you look globally, there's a lack of morally and ethical leaders. That's why we have got to build a crop of leaders right now. And that's the work that I do with the foundation. Just a little bit of an insight from my book, which is I Am Dileka, which is me finding my voice more than my surname. I have this to say about the work that I do. Since starting the Thembekile Mandela Foundation, I have been working tirelessly to continue the legacy of my grandfather. The foundation has become a true parent to me. It is showing me the beauty of being good to others, especially women and girls in rural areas. It is my parent because it teaches me to sit with a woman in a village and know that despite our different social conditions and locations, her struggles are my struggles, and she deserves my love and respect. The foundation has made me empathetic enough to feel the pain of others that I cannot help but take it upon myself to help them and find solutions. It is truly my parent because it corrects me many times to ensure that I keep on a path of authenticity and not judge others, as I'm neither different nor special from them. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thanks, Dileka. That was awesome. And we will come back to some more questions to draw some more insights from what you just shared. And you ended your remarks by speaking about what being with the rural women is doing to you and how you yourself are becoming more non-judgmental and more accepting, inclusive because of your experiences with them. And that, Maitri, I want to turn to you because your life's work is dedicated to the study of women and equality and what we can, so just take us through some of that and what are the trends looking like? How have you seen things change? You've about 25 years of work in women's studies. Are we a different world today than, say, a few years ago? Or what more do we need to do? Just your opening thoughts on that.
Okay. Let me begin by saying thank you very much for inviting me to Banji and so on. I just want to say that I'm very happy to be here, but I'm not very good on panels. Okay. So let me begin by saying, in terms of service, I don't see myself as doing a service. I see myself more as an activist or a kind of an advocate when it comes to gender and women's affairs, women's issues in particular, because at the end of the day, I think you need to do what you have to do, and it's for others to see and evaluate whether you have actually done a service or not. Because you may think you're doing a service, but other people may not. So my work has been, it's been very clear to me that I wanted to work in women's studies not because I've been greatly discriminated against or that I was not brought up by a patriarchal father, nor did I face any life-changing abuse or anything. It's nothing like that. It's something that's in your gut. I can't explain it more than that. So it's in my gut, and that's why I've been working in women's studies and so on. What was the other thing you said?
Just feel free to say what you want.
Well, worse and worse. Okay.
No, so what I was asking was that, when we today talk about gender equality is everywhere in the world. And there seems to be more awareness today than it was a few years ago. But in your studies, what is it showing you? Are we a more equal world today?
Okay, let me put it this way, that, okay, so people talk about gender equality, and then it would seem that they take a very quantitative understanding. So they're talking numbers, they're talking counting, basically. How many women here, how many women there, how many women in higher education, how many women in politics, and so on. It's not really a question of numbers, it's not really a question of representation the way I see it. It's also a question of equity. So by equity, we're talking about qualitative difference, qualitative change, to the extent that then you're talking, are institutional structures ready to accept women? Do they take into account women's needs? Does development on the whole look at women and see what their requirements are, and so on? So I would definitely be talking about gender equity as well as gender equality. And to that extent, one might find that from when I started out more than, say, 30 years ago, I find that there are a lot more younger women, very versatile, very dynamic, very articulate, very active women who have really taken the ball and run much more than us. So we have now become basically the second generation, as it were. So there are lot more activism, lot more writing, lot more aware women who's doing a lot of good work. So having said that, we still find that the lot more women working, but we can talk about gains in certain fields. For instance, in education, you may find that as far as education goes, throughout the world, more women are, or rather more girls are in education. They are accessing education than boys in a lot of countries. And this is surprisingly even in some of the, I don't want to seem presumptuous, but some of the Arabian countries, a lot more women, there's gender parity in primary education particularly. So you find that, okay, in education, yes. If you look at higher education, in most universities, in most parts of the world, there are more women undergraduates. Yeah. So, okay, education is fine. If you look at politics, then you find that certain countries are still lagging behind because you might find some phenomenal women statespersons, but you don't really find a lot more women in politics, as it were, unless, of course, there have been, the states have taken specific measures, mechanisms, that they're put in place, reservations or quotas to get them in. Right. So you have issues like that. So we're still having a lot of issues, and particularly violence against women is still one of the greatest issues that we are facing, because it's such a preventable crime. Right. Because, you know, it's just somebody's decision to abuse you or get rid of you. Right? So it's a preventable crime, and that is still our biggest challenge. So
no, that's very insightful, Maitri. In fact, you know, yesterday we missed you, but yesterday we had a very fantastic panel where there were only millennials and two very young, energetic millennial women. I don't know if they are still in the audience here. And, you know, around the world also today, the whole millennial force, if you will, is emerging as a very strong shaper of our world. So do you find anything different in what I think most of us are Gen X women here, and the millennial girls and young women who are coming into now economy or politics?
I think they are much more confident than we ever were.
Yes.
And I think they are doing good work. I see a lot of my young students really with it, going for it, very motivated. So I would think yes.
Yeah. And it really resonate with me, the point you made about more girls in higher education. In our own university, we are almost outnumbered by girls. We have 52% girls to 48% boys. Even in the master's programs, many of our students and faculty members are here. So, and that is, I think, something we as a team are also consciously nurturing. We want to make sure that more of that.
But we want more than quantity.
Yes, yes, of course, absolutely. Take your point on that. Thanks, Maitri. And to that, Agadir, I want to come to you. You have an incredible story. You are basically adopting a child every 3 days. I mean, if you see the year and the number of children you have right now. So tell us about why you are doing this. What is your life like? How is it to run a household with 70 children? I think some of us here who have 2 or 3 children have a handful already. You are kind of managing 70 of them on a day-to-day basis. Tell us your life story.
Good morning, everyone. And I'm really very happy to be here and to share my story with you all. First of all, I'm a Muslim, Arab, Jordanian woman. Like any other woman here in this hall, you know, we share the same dreams, hopes, goals, ambitions. So, and I was raised in a very good, you know, situation, I think. In my education, I had a loving, wonderful parents, opening-minded. My mom is actually with me here. Thank you, Mom. I won't be here, of course, without her encouragement and love and care. And I wanted to start with the session, and it says that it's service beyond boundaries. To be honest with you, for me, it's not service. I think it's love and give, the ability to love and give beyond boundaries. Because it is an unconditional love. And I think that every human being in this world, we have a mission in our life. And since I was young, as I told you, I had a good education. Even my work, I work with the Royal Hashemite family. So I was in a good position. But there was always something that I kept seeking for, something that will fulfill my heart. And I've been working with the Royal Court for quite 21 years old, 21 years. And for me, I'm telling you that all what I have seen was nothing comparing to the past 10 years when I've started my story with my girls. It was actually a phone call from one of the girls from an orphanage, and it was after the age of 18. And I think that this problem is not only in Jordan, I think it's everywhere. There's foster houses all over the world, and we always forget this category after they leave the foster houses. And you know, orphans in Jordan and in any other country, we have different kind of orphans. There's orphans that have a family name that protect them after the age of 18, especially in the tribal countries like ours. Because you know, the first question when you go, they always say, what is your father's name, your mother's name, your father, you know, it's always like a tribal and extended family situation. And those girls and boys after the age of 18 who doesn't have any families, when they go into the community, they are abused, they are labeled, and they are really extremely used. So it started with this phone call. I felt that there's a lot of girls that are in need for help. They are vulnerable in our society. So with the help of Her Royal Highness Princess Taghreed Mohammed, she's one of the most humanitarian ladies that I have ever seen. She supported us in opening this institute, And this institute, it started with 25 girls. We took them, some of them were already gone into the street, and others were still in the orphanages. And I've started a program as a coach. I have also a master's in NLP, and my PhD is in education and development. So when I've started, I didn't know how the program will go, to be honest with you. So it was like going beyond the challenges, inspiration, positiveness, earning respect. How can you earn respect? You earn it through your work, through your morals. You have to change the point of view of people within, you know, from your acts and from your behavior. So it was a complete empowering year. And then after a year, I felt that I was emotionally involved. This is where my story starts, actually. I felt that they are like my daughters, the 25 girls. I couldn't leave them. It's not a program that I will leave them and go, you know, find them a job opportunity. It became part of my life. And then we had, it's a long story. We laughed together, we cried together. I was a mom that is really taking care of her children. They felt secured with me. The household, the idea of household, maybe it's not in my real house, but it's a household with different apartments. So we had an apartment, it's within the local community, every 6 girls together. We paid, you know, the rent for 6 months. I provide them with job opportunities, and I told them, listen, in the morning, I'm Dr. Agadir, and I'm the director, but in the afternoon, I'm your mom. If you want to go out, if you want to do anything, you have to call me. So we had a WhatsApp group. Sometimes they come to my house. We always have a trip every year where we go together with my family, my husband, and my biological children. And then the first thing, when one of my girls wanted to get married, and it was a shock to me at that time, because she came and she said that someone is coming to propose. And at that time, I felt, oh my God, you know, he cannot come to the institute. He should come to my house. So I called my husband. I told him, listen, those are my girls, and they have to come and ask you for their, for their hand. So he said, okay. He's really into me, with me, you know, in this mission. And it was beautiful. I even called my biological daughter. I told her, listen, you know, we're going to have, you know, a celebration in our house. She said, our house will be a house of love. And this is where it started, that 8 of my girls got engaged and married and went out of my house. Some of them had, I have grandchildren now. Actually, and to be honest with you, the story doesn't stop here, because I wanted to really change the legislation of the Ministry of Social Development. And with my position at the Royal Court, we've tried to manage to change the legislation, and I think that it's the first program in the Arab world. I don't know in the European or other countries, you know, if they have this, but we have now a legislated aftercare program from the age 18 to 24. The girls, they don't go to the street, they come to me. We have a big building with the sponsorship of His Majesty King Abdullah II, and we have a full program, psychological, socially, emotional, and we have also an academic program. And I have to tell you that this program, it's a life-changing for those girls. I know it's hard, it's not easy. Sometimes they drive me crazy. There's girls, girls that wants to learn it the hard way. Others, they are very smooth and easy. They just want love. But I have to be very firm as a mom. So some of them look at me as a complete mom with love and hugging and everything. And others, you know, others, they look at me as a supporter or protector. So, and I'm really proud to tell you that I have 3 of my girls with me here. So they are there. Stand up. You can stand up. Of course, actually, they were training themselves to speak in English and to tell their name and what is the meaning of their name. So if anyone can just give them the mic and let them do that, it's a very good empowerment for them. So do you have a mic? Yeah.
Is there a mic? Or you can,
Or
we can hear you. Shout.
Yeah. Yes? Start. No, no, they won't hear you, yeah. Okay, so did you have a mic? No? Okay, so Nada, she said, my name is Nada, and the meaning of it is water, early morning water drops.
Oh, dewdrops.
So this is Nada. The second one, I'm not going to say your name in English. So, yeah?
My name's Amal.
Yeah.
It means hope.
Her name is Amal, and it means hope. Wow. And the third one,
My name is Waad. It means promise.
and Wa'ad, and it means promise. So as you can see, they have a beautiful names like their personality. Amal, Wa'ad, and Nada, they've been with me for 10 years now. And they were the first with my group, and I have to tell you that they are now supervising their younger sisters. So they are the role models of the young sisters. The three of them, you know, if you can just say what you're doing now, Wa'ad, in English.
I work at Jungle Fever Coffee and Tea House, assistant manager and head barista.
Woo, good. So she's a head barista. You know, it's a big challenge, by the way. They're speaking English, and this is a great thing.
Yes,
Okay, great. And Amal?
I work to Princess Taghreed Institute as HR.
HR.
وشرطة.
And she's in the police department.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, yeah. Nada.
I work at Princess Taghreed Institute and as personal assistant.
Yes. great.
Police department.
Okay, thank you, girls.
Wow, wow. Wow, Agadir.
So I have to tell you that it's the most beautiful thing to uplift yourself and reach a point where you see that, you know, all the materialistic things in our life means nothing. You know, the light in the eyes of my girls is the most beautiful thing that I see. And this is the most beautiful thing, believe me. So love and giving is the happiness of our life. And I'm telling you that I'm really blessed to have all this love around me. Yeah,
Wow.
thank you.
And we can see the pride in your eyes, Agadir. It's a proud mom. What incredible work this is. This is really, really inspiring. Really inspiring. So, you know, the three of you are sharing about your life's work and making it sound so easy and so light, and you know that it was all, it's all looking fine. But definitely you must have battled with a lot of challenges. So, Dileka, what is one of the biggest challenges you'd had to deal with, and how have you overcome it?
Well, one of my biggest challenges is people wanting to box me into a mini Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
As if politics is an inheritance. And I've battled against that. And people tend to forget that for the bulk of my life, my grandfather was in prison. So the person that shaped me is my grandmother. And she gets eclipsed because of the stature of my grandfather. And that frustrates me because the sum total of who I am is my grandmother, not my grandfather. Yes, there are certain traits that I have taken of my grandfather, like the self-service, but the self-service started with my grandmother. My maternal grandmother spoiled me with a lot of clothes. She would take me to the latest fashion designer and buy me clothes. And because I had a lot of clothes, my grandmother taught me to share my clothes because she would tell me, you spend a lot of time at boarding school anyhow, what are you doing with all these clothes? So I learned to share and give people that were less privileged and share my clothes. So I learned to be of service at an early age. And this person, that's my grandmother, Evelyn, taught me that to be a Mandela, I don't have to wear it on my sleeve. It is what I deliver to people that will differentiate me from the rest of the mill, because ultimately it is what you can deliver to society. And some of my challenges include being, like I said, being cloned, wanting to be cloned as a Mandela. And most of the time, the name is heavy because I have to emulate my grandfather. I have to be benchmarked against him. I can't have my own opinion as if I'm an airhead. For instance, back home, I cannot, when I criticize the ANC for what it is currently doing of not living up to the principles of the founding fathers, there's a lot of corruption, and money that's supposed to go to the poor is now lining the pockets of politicians. And I'm very vocal against that because I'll be damned if my grandfather would sacrifice us and bring liberation to a country, and then politicians in this day and age take that money that they're supposed to deliver to the children to line their pockets. Right now, back home, we have children that are studying in the blazing sun because a school that was supposed to be built 21 million rands later, there is no school. They're still studying outside. We have children that are crossing swollen rivers because bridges have not been built. Our country has mismanaged over 1 trillion rands, which is a budget for a small country. And I'm supposed to keep quiet because this is a party of my grandfather. I cannot speak against that. So I get boxed into that and be asked, how dare you question us? And I will dare question them because my grandfather sacrificed us for the liberation of our country. So those are my challenges. And, and also, this thing of being boxed, that because I get seen taking a picture with Barack Obama or Oprah Winfrey, I have access. I'm on speed dial to these people and get funds at a drop of a hat. The only person that was able to do that was Nelson Mandela, because he had paid his dues. I still need to pay my dues for people to be able to assist me with the things that I'm doing currently, taking the legacy of my grandfather forward. So, like I said, it has its challenges, but I carry it lightly. And the work that I do, as she said, is the work of the heart. It is brutal. It is hard because sometimes you sit in front of funders, they don't identify with your cause. And ultimately, all the causes that all foundations do, or all non-governmental organizations, NGOs and NPOs do, they need resources. They need financial resources because you can have the best intentions, but if you don't have the resources to carry it, you can't be able to deliver on that. So those are the challenges that I currently have, but I overcome them because I believe that God gives us the innate ability to rise above certain situations. And when I get highly frustrated, I have yoga to go to. Yoga is the one practice. I've been doing yoga for 15 years, and it lifts up the burden. Now, when I come out of a yoga class, I feel lighter, and it is what makes me carry on and on with the work that I do, because I dare not falter.
Wow, wow.
Thank you.
Actually, Dileke, when you share this, it's such a big insight, I think, for all of us, that when we look at such a monumental legacy, I think I've used the word many times because for me, truly, Nelson Mandela cannot be a more monumental legacy than that. And how that can become a weight, in a way, a burden to live up to. And I think which is why even your book is called Not Just Your Surname.
Yes, it is. I mean, a perfect example. I mean, when Granddad was sick, which just shows you the burden of the name. When Granddad was sick, we had journalists parked outside the hospital first.
Generals.
Yeah, journalists, the
Journalists,
journalists
okay,
and
yeah.
the media. And the media would bombard us with a lot of questions. And at the time, 2012, my daughter was doing her first year at varsity at UCT in Cape Town. And oftentimes, the media would report that my grandfather had died, and it was not true.
Oh, okay.
And we had to clean up the mess, and the media sometimes forget the mess that they create with these icons, that the flip side of the coin is a family member that gets hurt.
Right.
And we had to clean up that mess and pacify our children who were at school, at varsity, to say, this is not true. I've just been to see Granddad, he's fine. Yes, he's still in ICU, he's still fighting for his life, but he hasn't died. So these are the challenges that come with iconic leaders, because people, the media and everybody else feel they own him because he's the icon. I mean, that was one of my biggest challenges when Granddad was released, because I thought that he would be mine. But I was surprised. He became the grandfather of the entire world. And I battled. It was when I was in therapy that I could reconcile that he had a bigger purpose for his life, you know, and I had to share him with other people, because I thought that when he got released, he would be mine. I'll be able to go out with him and have picnics and
Have an ice
coffee
cream.
and
Yes.
have ice cream, but it was not to be. I had to share him constantly with people. At the time that Granddad was the president, we drifted apart. This is a man that I had connected with when I first saw him at age 16. But when he got to be president, we drifted apart because the relationship that we had, I was angry that I couldn't access him, because even if I could access him, he was in the company of other people. So I couldn't have this one-on-one I had with him in prison, because in prison I could spend time with him alone, especially when he went to Victor Verster. So those are the challenges that I've had to battle with, but like I said, I've learned to carry them lightly.
More power to you,
Thank
Dileka.
you.
More power to
Thank
you. Maitri, tell us a little bit about your challenges and how you are dealing with them or have overcome them.
Seriously?
Yes.
Okay.
If you had any.
I can't really see, you know, I've just floated through life. And anything that came my way, I just did it. I
Nice.
didn't, you know, I mean, I have had a sick mother who I've had to look after.
Yeah.
But then I just, you know,
Deal with it.
deal with it, yeah.
Okay.
I don't reflect on it too much. Maybe that's not right. In this culture of reflexivity, perhaps it's not quite the done thing. Maybe you need to reflect. But I think if you reflect too much, then it becomes bigger than it is, perhaps.
Yeah.
So maybe not to overthink too much.
Okay, that's nice. Nice, Maitri. Agadir?
Of course, we do have a lot of challenges, but for me, challenges is the spice of life. So without challenges, we cannot go on. Even between husband and wife, between children, everything, it is spice. And I always look positively into challenges because it drives me with my passion and compassion to do a lot of things. The challenge comes in our work through sometimes my daughters themselves. Yani, if there is a girl that really, you know, needs to learn it the hard way, whatever you want to do, you cannot do anything. So you have to let it go. So this is very painful sometimes, but if she knows that if I really told her, just you cannot stay here, but my door is open whenever you want to come back.
Wow.
So learn it the hard way and come back. The other challenge is sometimes is of course, the community, you know, to accept, you know, this differences. I'm sorry to say that our community sometimes it's crucial, you know, towards specific categories. And they don't look at humans as real humans. And changing the point of view, it took us really long time, but now I can see that there's a lot of people on board with us. That's why I keep on telling my story, and I always say that it's not a bragging thing, it's something that comes from my heart, just to be a role model, at least if you face one day in your life an orphan that comes to you and needs a job opportunity or needs a rent an apartment or whatever, just to say, okay, I'm going to do that, and maybe you will remember my story and you will help them out. Because, you know, we all could have been in their situation. And believe me, in each community, all over the world, we have the same situation. This forgotten category that we never think about. So I always urge people just to think about it and help it. And at the end, of course, challenge, produce work and initiatives. So I always believe in challenges and believe in accomplishing it, and it's a successful stories at the end. So we have to see the positive intention at the end. Yeah.
Very nice, Agadir. This was exceptional. And now for the next few minutes, I'm going to request all of you that we do a bit of rapid fire sharing. Yeah? Is that okay? Yeah? So I start with you, Agadir. And here in this section, I want to invite you to give short, crisp, quite direct answers. Is it okay? Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? Agadir, I want to start with you. What advice will you give your 20-year-old self? I mean, considering all of us are well about 20.
20 years?
What advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you were 20 years old now? From here, what advice would you give yourself?
To think and balance myself and use my heart and my mind in a balanced way. And to really look ahead, you know, to try to be visionary.
To be
And
visionary.
To be visionary and know what is the consequences. You have to, and not, you know, you have to
No,
go-
short answer. I want a short answer. So give me 2-3 points.
think, be balanced,
Be balanced,
and be visionary.
be visionary. Great. Maitri?
Well, life throws you many curveballs. Be prepared to go with whatever that comes.
Be prepared for the Yorkers of life. Huh? Dilekar?
Own my truth.
Own my truth. Wow. Great, great. You know, in Hindi, there is a couplet which says, "Kabhi kisi ko mukammal jahan nahi milta," which means that in life, everyone doesn't get everything that one wants. So, Dilek, starting with you. Any regrets in life?
Not really. My life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, I own them.
Wow, wow. Maitri?
No regrets.
No regrets.
Don't look back.
No looking back,
So
no
you
regrets.
don't regret.
Wonderful. Agadir?
Definitely no regrets.
No regrets.
I'm
Great,
always
great, great. Okay, next. Maitri, this one I start with you. The theme of our conference is Circle of Life, Passion, Compassion, and Dispassion. Very truthfully, which of these three would you need to have more of, you think?
Compassion.
Compassion. Agadir?
I think I have the passion, but I don't believe in compassion because I told you that it's from my heart directly,
Okay.
so I don't believe in it. But this passion, it was the first time that I'm reading this word and I've started to Google it.
Okay.
So it was, and it's very important, definitely. You cannot
Dispassion.
do anything without the dispassion.
Okay.
Because it's
Dilekar?
related to each other, it's a circle.
Yeah?
Okay, what was the question again?
Passion, compassion, dispassion. What do you think you need to have more of?
Dispassion, definitely.
Dispassion.
I have this need of not knowing when to let go. So
Yeah.
I need more of dispassion.
More of dispassion. Okay. Big hand, huh? This is from the heart, from deep down. Okay. I'm going to give you 4 words, and I want you to rate them from 1 to 4, importance in your own life. Yeah? 4 words. And your 4 words are love, joy, gratitude, and contentment. Dilek.
Contentment, love, joy, and the last
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Yeah.
Okay, great. Maitri?
Contentment, love, gratitude, joy.
Okay.
Definitely love.
Love. Okay.
Then joy,
Joy.
contentment, and gratitude.
Wow, wonderful. Okay. Maitri, I start with you on this. 2 things in your life you wish you had more of.
Time.
Yes?
Same.
Time.
Don't
and,
we all?
Time and
Maybe compassion. Maybe if I'm to be reflexive, yes.
compassion and time. Agadir?
Time, definitely.
Time.
Yeah,
Okay.
time is very important. And, you know, can't think of anything else.
Okay.
You know, I'm really ready for everything.
Dilekar?
It should be love
Love.
and time for family.
Time for family. I think this is a great space to pray for some more time. I think we all want some more time. That's great.
But
And
you know, I think that we need also sometimes money to do things.
money.
Money.
Okay,
I'm
money
with
is
you.
good.
Money is good. Money
We
is
can all
good.
do with some more money. Now we are getting more real. Okay.
continue.
Delicate, 2 things you think you could have less of.
Less vanity.
Less
I'm
of?
less of vanity.
Vanity,
I'm a
okay.
vain person, like my grandfather. I'm a vain person.
Okay.
Less of vanity.
Less of vanity.
Less of. I think that's what comes to mind. Less of vanity.
Vanity.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
good. Maitri?
Less of ornaments.
Less of ornaments.
People give us a lot of ornaments.
Oh, you can pass them on. There are others, I'm sure, in this hall who want them. Agadir?
So maybe less of keeping thinking all the time
Less of
because I feel that I have a lot of responsibility on my
Yeah.
head. So
not
maybe,
overthinking.
Yeah,
too
not
much.
overthinking sometimes
Yeah.
because when you go inside these things, you feel that you have to be there every time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so it's not easy.
Nice, nice. Okay, you all said it is difficult, so I'm going to ask you this. Your role model, your inspiration.
Both my grandparents, my grandmother and grandfather, they are my role
Grandparents,
models.
Maitri?
A series of women, starting with my mother, followed by my girl guide captain, followed by a number of feminist scholars who have, paved the way for some of us. Kumari Jayawardena, Swarna Jayavira, Vimala De Silva, the Savitri Gunasekara, and so on. Quite
Very
a number
nice.
of old.
Very nice.
It
Agadir?
started, of course, with my mom and dad. And then I had a very specific person in my life. I wish that she's here with us, Haifa Najjar. She's also one of my inspirational role model. And then, of course, Princess Taghreed, she with her humanitarian and love to everyone. Yeah, and now my inspiration is my daughters.
Your daughter.
So they give me all the inspiration in the
Lovely.
world. And especially my also biological daughter, Ghazal. She's with me too. They are all her sisters too. And she has given them a lot of time also. Ghazal, say hi.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so next, we keep the pace. Huh? So the theme of this conference is Circle of Life. In one line, what does Circle of Life mean to you? What is your circle of life?
That's a difficult one. Well, my circle of life would be the continuance of life from birth and all the way around. Because what I do in my line of work, what I do with the girls is to prepare them for the challenges of life. So my circle of life is basically the circle of life as we know it, from birth to death. Yeah.
Very
that is-
nice. Maitri?
I hate panels. I'm going to pass that.
That is your circle of life. That's why you keep coming back to the panel. Agadir?
So I think it always starts with search. Search, and then education, ambitions, goals. And then you reach a point where you are balanced. And then you go into another search. We keep on searching in our life until you reach a point that you are uplifted and upgraded to an extent that you are ready, for the other life.
Wow.
So I think it starts with search and it will end with search too.
Wow, very nice. And this is the last piece before we do something with our amazing audience here. I want to give you a few words, one word, and for that one word, I want one word in return from you. Okay. Yeah? So one word for you, Dileke, women.
Girls.
Huh?
Girls.
Women?
Eh?
Yeah, what do you want to say for women?
For
One
women.
word.
Okay. One word.
Yes.
Jesus.
Jesus, no, we stay with Jesus.
No. I said
Okay.
women, power.
Power. Life,
Death.
religion,
Faith,
faith. Service,
Service, gratitude. Gratitude.
Gratitude. Leadership. Women, okay. Spirituality.
Uplifting.
Uplifting. Education.
Knowledge.
Knowledge. Fashion. Style.
Personal style.
Personal style. Ornaments. Music.
Joy.
Joy. Love.
Fulfillment.
Fulfillment. Lovely. Ethics.
Essential.
Essential. Commitment.
Important.
Important. Give them a hand. This is not easy. Sitting here.
I think you asked me about the biggest challenge. I think this is it.
Yeah. So now, we have some incredible audience here. I think we should give them a big hand for being so wonderful. So what we will do now is we will play a small game, okay, where we have to support the audience. Yeah? Is this okay, Dileke? Sure. Yeah? So what we will do is, I want to start with you, Dileke. You can say a word of your choice. The same way that we did now, you say a word and we get a word in response from the audience. And that word, you say something in return, Maitri, to which we get a word from you, and then you respond to that. And then again, somebody responds to that, and we do 2 rounds of that. Is this okay? Fun? Okay. Just let's keep it orderly because it'll be more fun. Yeah? Dileke, your word.
Respect.
Huh? Earn. Okay? Yeah, just one word. Has to be or no. One word. Earn. Maitri, one word for earn. And I hate panels is now done.
Income.
Income. Income, one word for income? Huh? Abundant. Okay, they have abundant income. That's good to know. Abundance.
Abundance.
Abundance means a lot of. No?
Ah.
Abundance.
Yeah. So I should do something towards
For
this-
abundance, yeah.
For abundance. Giving.
Okay, giving. One word for giving? Huh? Love. Okay, love. Delicate.
Peace.
Peace. Come on now, it's more words. You're using my words. No, I want another word for peace. Huh?
Silence.
Okay, bliss. I take Meenakshi's, we share the birthday. Bliss.
Challenging.
Challenging. Adventure.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Women. We take women. Power is done.
Power is okay. Prosperity.
Prosperity. Huh? No, not compassion. Huh? Okay, this group is only talking about income, wealth, money. What's going on? This session is about service, remember? Okay? Income. Welcome. No, wealth. Maitri. Wealth.
Oh, we're back to that, are we?
Yeah, we are back to wealth.
Love.
Love, okay. Men. Finally, they have entered the conversation. Okay. Men.
Our other half. So the
Our
half.
other half. I think that was great. Give ourselves a big hand. This is so fabulous. I think, these are such incredible women. We can go on and on and on, isn't it? Listening to their stories, but we will have more time to meet with them and interact with them. And I think, really, if you see the circle of life, I want to share, some of you know this, some of you may not. I had a life-transforming experience a few years ago when I was caught in a terror attack in Mumbai, and I remember at that time, the entire circle of life, or in fact, life as I knew it, kind of flashed in front of my eyes in those few moments, few hours. And I think that was a huge turning point for me, which made me realize that how precious our time on this planet is, and how precious whatever we have already is. You know, we are all in this exhaustive search of seeking more. And moments like this make you realize that what is enough. And I think that becomes somewhere the foundation for stopping at us and starting to look at what we can do for others. And I think that kind of epitomizes what, for me, service means. Just being available, being present, just being accessible and allowing to be used for whatever it is that you have. So this was such a fantastic conversation. Dilek, Maitri, Agadir, thanks for bearing your souls, and thanks for being such great sports. A big hand to all of them, big hand. Thank you very much.